knock on the top left of the door because it travels further so they can hear it.
I wish I knew all this. Just going randomly.
Yeah, you've
No
got to pick the
techniques.
spot. The second thing is you take a few steps back. It's less confronting for them, and then you try to get them to open whatever barrier there is, because the physical barrier is the same as an emotional barrier. Like if you're sitting at a table, sit beside as opposed to opposite. I almost got a job just because I did that. She's like, oh, because you sat next to me, I'm thinking about giving you the job. I remember the story you told me about last time about your life. It will smoke out a lot of people's excuses in sales, I suspect.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. How about let's just go back to where you were born firstly. But before that, just tell people in a short, efficient way, what do you do?
Okay. So, where you're born. It's like going back really
Yeah, we can unpack who you are. We got
Feels like
time.
I'm sitting on a psychiatrist chair.
Yeah, well, I do
Start
that
from my childhood.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm a business broker. What we do is we help business owners to exit their businesses. So we eventually sell businesses, and we help buyers to purchase a suitable business for them. Generally, companies are looking for growth by acquisition. That's where we come in. And the business owners are looking to exit their businesses. That's where we come in and put the business on the market and eventually close the sale.
So essentially, people who want to buy a business or want to sell a business, this is a good podcast to listen to, potentially.
Perfect.
We'll see
podcast.
how we go. Yeah, perfect. Ideal. It's like it was meant to be. So we won't unpack your whole childhood, but like, where were you born?
I was born in Istanbul in Turkey
Been
and
there.
raised in there as well, up until 26 years old. And that's my journey in Turkey.
And fluent in English.
If you say so. If you say so.
Wow. Was it like, were you like in a well-off family? Was it hard? Were there any, like, were you bullied at school, or you just had a perfect family, or what? I know we were going to talk about buying and selling businesses, but I think the man is important as well, you know?
Sure. I think, my family was the medium, I guess, if you put a economical class on that, medium average household income earner family. Father works hard, full time, and stay on mother, look after me and my brother. That's the family I grow up, and in terms of the bullying or the school life, etc. I think I was quite a bit nerd when I first
you were a nerd.
Primary school and up until I guess the half in high school, because at some point I said I'm gonna come out and go out there and talk to more people. Enough is enough. And so not much bullying, not much going on. In high school was a little bit tough because of the hormones are kicking in, and we had a high school where you have some students achieve some certain success from their previous school life, like primary school and intermediate. Then they are eligible to go to a different same high school, different high school, but studying in a classes no more than 30 students, a little bit more privileges, higher education, but in the same high school where the not so much like that. So it was quite interesting because I managed to get into something like that, and our classes always was less than 30 people. We had the TVs, we had video recorders, we had like more equipment in our classes, but in the same school we had other students as well, staying in a 60 students class. So that wasn't a good system because it created an issue between us and them, because they say, who are you? You have these privileges in the same place. It just said that's how it happened because of the previous school scores and etc. So that was a little bit tough because we were always like tense each other.
Did you get in fights?
Well, yeah, we were getting in fights. Yeah, so.
Did you win or lose? Because you were a nerd, you said, so you weren't as big as you are now.
we were all nerds because if you are in there,
your comrades are all 30 nerds.
So
and
we weren't really powerful in terms of the physical fights if you get into, and they were more crowded. There are more people because its classes are bigger. So, but we were keeping our strength.
Holding your ground.
Yeah.
Did you think
our ground.
strategically? Did you
Yeah.
use your guys' brains together as a means to outwit and outsmart your adversaries?
Well, at the end, after that, the principal noticed that it's not going to work. So they changed our hours. So we were going in the morning. They were finishing the school in the afternoon. So we start in 7 o'clock, finish at 12. And then the other parties are coming at 1 o'clock and until 6 p.m. at night. So that helped us. Yeah. So we didn't.
Wow,
have
that
issues
sounds
after
like-
that. So we didn't mix anymore.
Yeah. I feel like that's the wrong way to solve that. Essentially, they're hiding you from the aggressors. It makes sense. Like, you're outnumbered. You guys are getting all these privileges, and they just get annoyed at you and take it. Yeah, I could see how that's a problem.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah.
So,
So you're good at school.
I'm not sure if you ask me. I don't think you will ask me any math questions or
Yeah,
physics or
you don't have to
chemistry.
prove it. You can
So
just
I'm not
say-
sure what should I say now. Probably I should say no. So just avoid any questions like that.
Okay.
But I was good. I was good at always good at with the numbers and the classes involved. Maths
A
and
squared
stuff.
plus B squared equals what?
I don't know.
What did you think you were going to be like as a kid? Like, did you think, I'm going to sell businesses, or were you going to be a scientist? Or
Well, I always said I will be in the IT industry because I was
IT.
playing computer games and I was into it. And I always thought that would be my path, but I ended up studying engineering and graduating from that. Yeah.
and then you realized how boring it was and came to New Zealand, or
No, it was fun. It was fun. I enjoyed it. Just because when I was studying engineering, I took a lot of sales and marketing classes. Was joining seminars, motivational seminars, speaking programs, and reading personal development books. So I took my part in a different way while studying my engineering degree. Although I enjoyed the numbers and doing engineering, but I find myself stuck in a laboratory, not many people around. I see that this is going to be the life for me if I carry on with this career. And I was really feeling the hunger of exploring more networking, exploring more human being, like being more people, understanding more about the people and how to make sales and the sales psychology. So that's the path I decided to take. As soon as I graduated, I started working for a cosmetic company in the marketing department. So it was
cosmetic.
it wasn't engineering
No.
whatsoever. Yeah,
Were you selling lipstick or what?
look, it was a big corporate. So it's
Okay.
like, yeah, they were selling all sort of stuff. When I joined the company, they had about 40 retail outlets around Istanbul.
Wow.
It was a 2 years old young company, but was established by a successful businessman. And so when I left, probably now I think they have over 500 all around Turkey.
Wow.
So it was a great opportunity if I stay there, because it's a growing company. You are one of the first employees, so it would be a good career path. But I had to make my move to New Zealand.
What were your lessons in marketing? I just find that interesting. Like, what sort of marketing would you guys do at that place? Like, what were you?
I think it's more like a retail-based business, because what you do is more creating inserts, designing inserts, the magazines and flyers, and just checking the store layout, like where the gondolas are and the shelves, what products are selling at the front. So there is lots of I think there's lots of science into it, because we had even the scanners counting how many customers get in and get out. All sort of stuff we were looking. But it was my first professional job.
Yeah.
So I was at the lower rank of the marketing
Yeah.
person, but I started getting more jobs, more responsibilities. So I went into a little bit more. So it was quite exciting, actually. Because it was more like a common, not just one person. It's like a community, how the community feels, like the whole group of people feels about the products, because you count in the numbers of how many customers get into the shop, how many is out, what they are buying, and what they are looking at it. So it's all these strategies was quite fascinating to understand and know, because I never thought about it before. I wasn't coming from the marketing background, although I took the classes. So it was quite a good learning curve.
So you in a way have a curiosity about human behavior and why they do what they do, as well as, you talked about being a nerd and not quite fitting in, and I imagine as well, like having that ability to build friendships and to be, I guess, this person that's got it worked out, you know what I mean? Like that personal development side of things. What do you think is is there like an underlying thread that you've noticed with all your careers that you tend to enjoy?
Yeah, I don't know. I just it just came to me, I guess, in my young times, in teenager times, but probably before that as well. It's just I wanted to explore more and more, to understand myself more than anything, to understand what we are doing, what we are here, and it all started from there. And I started buying books all about personal developments, and when you start reading books about sales, it's about human psychology. So it's all, I think, the same, comes down to the same psychology. It's the human psychology, because sales, personal development, you need to develop yourself to be a good salesman. So it's all related to each other. And I started reading that. Of course I read some novels and things like that in my teenage times, but as soon as I started reading personal development books, sales books, has been always the only type of area I am interested. Now I switch from books to audible books.
Yeah.
So
faster.
I'm not quite reading, because I find you save a lot more time, and I can also just listen to these books when I'm driving, when I'm doing something else, put my earphone on. It's just very convenient, and I find I can do more if I use audible books. So I sign up with Amazon Audible. What's that called? Audible. I think.
Yeah, it is
Just
Audible. Yeah, it is. Yeah, you can read a book a week just driving, depending on how much you drive.
Yeah.
You drive more because you're a salesperson, so they're out there.
That's right.
Huh. Okay, on the book front, we'll get into the whole coming here and not speaking English and working it out so no one has excuses. But what are your some top books, either in sales, like the oracle of personal development to you?
I think the one book I find really useful and helped me as well, which is called 10X from Grant Cardone. He's a sales real estate tycoon in the States. That's what I find quite useful. That helped me as well. And I think what I do is I read one book, I like it, I read it again. I put myself into one thing if I believe in it. Because I used to do lots at the same time, then you forget about it. You don't really implement it. It just excites you when you are reading it, and then it's all gone and it becomes in the past, and so you don't implement anything. So if I like something, I like the philosophy of what is in there, and I say, okay, I need to program my mind like this to make sure this is not going to be wasted. So I think it's more, I go repeat the same things.
That's smart. I mean, because a lot of people, similar to like virtue signaling, where people show the world that they care without taking actions to show that they care, or people show how smart they are without implementation. Because you could read 10 great books, and if you implement every aspect of those 10 great books, you could probably, depending on what books you chose, achieve most of what you needed.
That's right.
So humans, I find, aren't that open to change, and you're naturally going to have resistance when you try and implement something. So do you have a process of implementation, like either how you sell it to yourself, or you do it in small bits, or you have other people keep you accountable? Like, how do you implement a book? You might not expect that question, but
I think it's not easy. Definitely not easy to change a habit. I think it all comes down to your habits, what you do on a daily basis. So once you start implementing some new idea, that means you need to change something you are doing, like some of your habits, to align with what you want to be and what you want to implement. So changing habit has always been difficult. So I guess one of the things, for example, I used to smoke, and I don't smoke anymore. And if I think about it, probably over 10 years now. And so one of the things I did when I quit smoking, it's smoking wasn't the addiction only just the physical part. After you quit smoking, 3 weeks later, it just warms off. But the habits you developed over the years when you are smoking, like one of them was like you are waiting something, you smoke. After meal, you smoke. You catch up with friends over a beer, you smoke with the beer. So these are all habits. Where as soon as, so what I had to do is, after quitting, when I catch up with friends with beer, all I feel like I smoke. I need to smoke. After eating, I need to smoke. So what I did is I said, okay, let's do this. After eating, I just move out at that focus of just waiting and feeling empty because there's something I need to do, but I'm not doing it. Just take my focus to it as something else. I just find it, maybe watch a movie, call a friend, something to keep my mind busy with some other activities until that craving is gone. So I find there are like little tricks I do when I need to implement something to change, like little tricks. First of all, what I want to implement, okay, I'm gonna do this. Then what habit I need to change? Okay, this, then same strategy. So okay, I need to, when I need to crave of this habit, I need to change my focus instantly by doing something else. So then I lose it. Because I think this scientifically, if you do same thing for 21 days, it becomes your habit.
Yeah.
And if you leave it, don't do it for 21 days, so it warms off. So that's I think I'm counting like 2 weeks, okay, 3 weeks, and that's it becomes in your mind after that, and then you don't even notice it. You are not doing it because you don't pay, even though you don't pay attention. Subconscious start, it's not there anymore. Just try to do that. It's not easy, but it's something to challenge. So I like that challenge as well.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, they often talk about it. People that give up addiction don't actually stop being addicted. They change what they're addicted to.
True.
Not always. But
not always. No. Yeah.
The other thing is that often it's not the substance or the thing that you do, it's the emotion it medicates.
Yes.
So the underlying emotion that you had when you smoked, you were using the smoking to alleviate that feeling.
True.
So I think that's an important thing as well, is focusing on the emotion that needs support and then replacing the habit with something that's more appropriate.
Yeah.
We will get to sales because I do love sales, but I think your story is important too. So you marketed, and then you worked your way up, and then you're like, okay, I'm just going to go to New Zealand. Or how did you decide?
So it's a long story, but I need to keep it short.
Yeah. The important and inspiring parts, I guess.
Yeah. So how it's all started in that company. If you go back to the cosmetic company when I was working as a marketing person, all started there because what I saw is that the more you want to develop your career in the company, the more you need to be able to speak English, to be in the environments where you go overseas and cut deals for the company, etc. If you go to, I mean, if you get into a company, you look at the CEO and you want to be that. It's kind of feeling, because if I was young and just my first job, okay, I started here, okay, this is my target, and to be like that, yeah. And you need to be you need to know English, and you need to be able to deal, negotiate in English and talk to people, your foreign partners when you were in Turkey. So and we were having lots of consultants coming from Germany, from different parts of the world, UK, and the meetings were held in English. So I thought this is the area I need to improve. Otherwise, if that's my target, that's not going to happen, because without me learning English. So that's how I started, and I said, okay, I am going to United States, where I guess most people think the first country to learn English to go to England or United States. So that's how it started. And then one day I spoke with this person, and I was just talking about my idea of going to United States, and he happened to be the what's that called, like a student advisor or immigration advisor. He said, why? We started sending some students to a country called New Zealand. Do you know that? I said, yeah, I know it. I heard about it. It's beautiful nature. I watched Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
And I did all
Lord of the
that.
Rings,
So I was a big fan of Xena. There was this the movie TV series character, the lady. Well, actually, I think she was my first.
Oh, Xena.
Xena. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You came to find Xena, throwing her fucking circle thing. Well,
exactly.
okay.
Yeah, I love that.
What about Gabrielle? She's a lovely lady as well.
Oh, I like Xena more.
Xena,
yeah.
okay.
Oh, even she had her poster on my wall when I was.
So you were in love with Xena.
I was a teenager, so she was my first love. So yeah, all stacked up, and I started searching. And the more I searched, the more I liked. And I said, okay, let me try this. Let's see if they are happy to have me first.
if Xena's watching this, Lucy Lawless, should she reach out, or are you married, or are you?
Well, it would be nice to have a coffee.
Yeah, have a coffee. Anyways, carry on. Yeah, so you come to
nice.
New Zealand, do your research.
And research, and applied and come as a student first.
What language? How much did you know? Like, did you know like 10 words, or like what was your?
Well, I guess it's like we took some classes in English, like how you take classes here for foreign languages, and that's all I knew. And I was one of the really bad students in the English class. So I always said, this is not my area. I don't think it's my strength. My strength is math, physics, all that. But the language is not my strength. I'll never be able to do this. That's all I told myself when I was taking these classes, and never paid attention, because I already accepted this is not gonna happen. I don't have the ability for that. And when I came here, I said, this has to happen now, because there's no other choice. Because I already invested to the school, and I'm staying here 8 months to study this. This maybe the only opportunity I ever have to really learn English if I go back and improve my career. And I stayed here. I love the country. I love the nature, but the most I love, I think the most immigrants like myself and see the most value is the people. So you love the people here, and how you are treated, and how nice the culture is. And then I say, I'll stick around. Definitely I'll stick around here. And then I moved to working holiday, worked different type of jobs.
What was the first one?
First one was door knocking.
Door knocking sales.
Door knocking
and
sales.
You just learned English.
I think after 11 months of staying here. Yeah.
And you could speak okay, or?
Well, when I first joined door knocking, it was the 11 months of studying English in a language school. But the thing is, with the language schools, you don't really get to mix with locals. So you are only be talking to people like your level. It was so you're not really actually in the community and talking locals with native English speakers. So I learned a little bit.
What was your first door knock?
But my speaking wasn't that great. So
if you walk me through, so you got this door knock, because this is people make up a lot of excuses in sales, me included, as a sales playing victim before. So you door knock. And were you nervous? Were you confident? Did you know your pitch? Like, what was your first door knock like, where they actually opened the door?
Okay, so I had a really nice Irish manager. So it was a little bit hard for me to understand already locals, and I had an Irish manager, so it was a little bit tough. But he was great. He was very supportive, and I was the only one whose language English is second language. So we had our team was made up of people from UK, working holidays, and some young kiwis. And everybody was very supportive. I think that's I think I was very fortunate to have a great team like this, sportive. So what I was doing, we were doing rehearsal and just a role play before going to and knocking the doors. And every time I brought a piece of paper, and then whatever our team is talking, I was writing down and asking, what is that? How do you spell it? And I put it there. So put all my script there and memorize it. And that's how I did. I went to my first door knocking, knocked the door, and just from the memory, I'm reading the paper, literally. Just remembering the paper, reading the paper. My English is good until I am asked questions. So I was saying something, and then they ask me a question, then they find out how my real English.
Wow.
So it was interesting, definitely.
And you made sales just door knocking an ungodly amount of doors and pitching everyone from the start?
Yes, we started with collecting donations for a charity, and I made some sales. I made some, managed to have some sign-ups. You sign up for a 12 months, 24 months period.
APCO?
I was working for a marketing company. I was partnered with EPCO, so we were getting the jobs from EPCO.
I used to work for them.
But EPCO was also contracted with a charity to collect.
I know the spiel.
Lots of contracts going on. It's an interesting structure, I think.
Yeah, 80% of the sign-up goes, when I was doing it, 80% of the first year of money goes to the marketing company.
Yes.
But they only have to pay it once the year it has been in. So it's a good thing for charities, but also it's a lot to take from charity. It was but best training I've ever had because they sell everything. They didn't just do charity. APCO was just like an infrastructure and a system to sell. And also a structure to work your way up, like team leaders and stuff. So if you ever see someone that used to work there, they're usually, if they didn't fall off very quickly, they're usually some of the best I've come across.
Oh wow. Yeah, I mean, I didn't.
You fell off.
I didn't care too much about the company. I was just going for it, and they say, okay, we need to do this. Carry on.
Yeah.
So it was interesting.
Is that the only door knocking job you did?
Yes, that was. That was the only one. But when I first started being a broker, I walked out and walked to businesses. Popped in there and asked the business owners if they consider selling the business or just have a chat. So did a little bit of, I guess you can call it door knocking. It's more, I think it was a more professional way of doing it than just knocking the door and asking for charity money. That was more knocking the door, asking for the owner, and try to set up a meeting. But in a way, I think technically it's still door knocking because you just go out there.
There's a door.
Knock the doors and ask for the owner.
Yeah, you can open the door without knocking as well. That's the main difference. But okay, on door knocking, because I did events, door knocking, B2B. I did it personally just to find speakers or to build relationships. Just because why not? Because it scared me, so I just like to do them. But so door knocking tips. So I'll share some if you've got some too.
Nice.
So for the residential, an interesting thing about humans is they like to have the illusion of space. So when you're talking to someone that's uncomfortable, you often stand by their side, not in front of them, so they have an escape. Or some people are like aliens that hold intense eye contact, and if you break eye contact with them, then you lose rapport. But with door knocking, two things you want to start. One is knock on the top left of the door because it travels further so they can hear it.
Okay.
The second, because I was petrified.
I wish I knew all this.
Yeah, well.
Just going randomly.
Yeah, you've got to pick the spot. The second thing is you take a few steps back. So that it's less confronting for them. And then you try to get them to open whatever barrier there is because the physical barrier is the same as an emotional barrier. Like if you're sitting at a table, sit beside as opposed to opposite. It's a lot more comfortable. I almost got a job just because I did that. She's like, oh, because you sat next to me. I'm thinking about giving you the job. And then also the tonality as well. So you think about everyone before you has an idea of what the situation is. So they're already treating you with pattern recognition like you're talking about, the habit. They just react.
Yes.
So either with the tonality that doesn't inflict, it's flat, or you say something that interrupts that natural response. So instead of like, hi, how are you? You're saying something situational. Like, I saw that gnome doesn't have a coat on. Like, are you sure that's going to be okay with the rain? And they're like, what? And then you can start doing your pitch. Nah, not that quick, but your rapport. So what would be your tips in terms of, that's just some, but what have been your lessons around selling or door knocking or knowing what businesses to pick, what information to look at?
I think it's doing some market research to start with before you start everything.
Okay.
Just doing a market research, what your target market is, who you are planning to talk to, and based on that, having a little bit knowledge of background, let's say if it's a business, what type of business it is, and how what the interests are in this industry. So if you know a little bit about those, or if it is if it's not for business purposes, if it's for charity, then you focus on people's emotions, heart, because it's you want people to do the right thing and feel happy about doing the right thing. But if it's a business, it's more like commercial mindset. It's more like what value I'm gonna deliver to you. So I think doing a little bit homework before going there, that helps. But the techniques you mentioned, that I wish I knew some of those, because I just first time I heard it, and it's really sounds very useful to me. And so I think what we were doing is we were having all these role plays, and our manager was teaching us this is what we need to focus. But because of my English, I was missing half of it. I wasn't quite understanding. So what we were doing is, as you said, keeping the space. So you need to give them some space, I think. And the most important part is you never be pushy. I guess you never look pushy. You still be a little bit pushy.
Yeah.
But you don't make them uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I think that's the key, because if you make somebody uncomfortable, it's not the right way of getting their interest anyway. Because if you make them uncomfortable and just they sign or give you something because of to get out of that uncomfortable position, then it's not the right way, and it's probably you may lose that person anyway, potential sale. I think it's the way to make people comfortable and build that rapport, and just showing them what you are, why you are there, why you are taking their time, all of it, just out of the blue you show up in their door, and what is that all about. So I think I'll focus on what value I'm gonna deliver, because just before talking how the weather is and all that, I straight go to the topic of why I'm here, what I'm here to deliver, not to just show them I respect their time. I'm not here to just have a chit chat and waste your time, all of a sudden knock your door because you have to talk to me. If I show them what value I'm going to deliver, then I think they are more likely to listen, because I'm there to actually benefit them as well, not just to take their time, something they wouldn't be potentially interested.
Well, for the analytical people that aren't naturally social, which would be me, but I've worked it out, is what you're talking about is it's called a statement of empathy. So you're going to this prospect, and they've got a feeling, and if you are not empathetic or understanding to that feeling, then eventually it's going to lead to them eroding the conversation. They're not going to be present. They're not going to be listening. They're going to have their guard up. So what you're subconsciously communicating is that you understand they have limited time, and that you're also demonstrating that you respect that. Because if you don't say that at the start, who you are, why you're here, then that's not going to lead to a way to build rapport. Like you start talking about the weather, how you been, blah, blah, blah. Why are you here? Are you a prospect? Are you trying to sell me Google AdWords? I get all that on the phone. So what value do you offer when you meet them? Because that's kind of like the bait. Because on one hand, you could just door knock lots of people and state what you do, build rapport, and that's value in itself. But are there creative business brokers that have a way of giving value until that person's ready to be a buyer or a seller?
Yeah, I think it doesn't have to be as long as somebody is a business owner or a person looking to buy a business. I think in general, I think in the industry, many business brokers offer bunch of free stuff, can be quite beneficial for people who are business owners or looking for a business. So because our job is I work on a result base. So if there is result, then we get paid. And I like that because then you feel comfortable. You deliver the result, you get paid for it. So you're not doing something without getting paid, without delivering anything. So that's how we work. So just to introduce that, I think what I do, I offer them a free complimentary market appraisal. And most of the time, any buyers or the business sellers, I'm always happy to have a coffee, have a chat about how the industry is, what the market update is, and just talk about their businesses. There's no charge or no obligation, no a pushy behavior. Okay, you have a coffee with me. Okay, you have to sell it with me now, kind of attitude. It's more because I focus on what value I can deliver rather than if I'm gonna get paid or not. And what I find is when I switch my mind to that level, rather than focusing on money, what income I am gonna generate, I started focusing on the value, what value I can provide, and change the question. So instead of how much am I gonna earn from this project, to how can I help this client? So then I find actually I'm making more. I'm making better. It's working better for me when I start focusing on the value. Because when you deliver the value, it's just money comes as a reward, as the work you have delivered it. So that's how I look at it. And many people I probably have spoken, but we haven't done business before. As long as there is time for it and there is an availability, then just talking about their business, or the buyers if they are looking for a business, just talking about them, what they are looking for, just sharing the knowledge, not being secretive. Okay, I know this, I developed it for over the years through my experience. I have to just sell it. It is, for me, it's more like sharing and just helping the community and giving them the value. In fact, this one of my friend approached me, and they are looking to buy a business, and they said, they asked my opinion, what do you think, because I'm in the industry of selling businesses, and we'll just catch up and talk about it, and I'll give my opinion. At the end of the day, they will make the decision, but this is just catching up and talking about and giving my opinion. So it's I see this is a free advice, basically. That's what always I am prepared to do.
I think that's an important thing. I find the best salespeople feel like they're doing a disservice to the person if they don't sell to them, like if they qualify, because that gives you the right to ask tough questions and to push things, not in a way that necessarily makes them uncomfortable, but they need to hear it.
Yes.
Because, I probably err more on the people-pleasy side. So in my head, and then, you also the self-worth piece. I think what people charge is proportionate to how they view themselves. And if you're really going to change a salesperson, is belief in themselves, belief in the product, and the ability to build trust. Because if you just have those things, if you're passionate, like you could, because I used to, at APCO, I was so I'd try and train these poor non-English speaking people to come and be like, yeah, just pitch them.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Who are they?
But yeah, you would have someone that knows nothing about the product, is passionate about it, just like wants to help these people, and will just outsell everyone, even though they don't know the tactics, they don't know knocking on the top left corner. And if you can sell that product to yourself, then you're away.
True.
So what would be, like, how do you actually sell a business? Like, I know that's a big open-ended question and there's different industries, but like, I find the product you sell isn't what people buy. It's often the underlying emotional drivers and the solution it provides. So it's not just the product, it's actually what problem you solve. How do you sell a business?
Okay. So it's a very wide question.
Yeah, you can go narrow.
Okay. So we have certain steps we take before selling a business. Selling a business can be a long journey. So I find most of the time business owners underestimate how long it can take to sell a business, or how long it can take for them to finally be off the hook of just free of the business and completely retire. Because most of the time business may sell it within 5 months after listing date, but the owner may still need to be in business for another 2 years because of his involvement and importance of his position or her position, and could be vital for the business, and the purchaser will want him to or her to be still stick around just to make sure everything will track nicely and they won't lose any cash flow. So it's a long process to go through, even from before the listing date, because especially if a business owner has been running the business for 30-40 years, it can be an emotional process as well. Because business owners, I consider myself a business owner as well. This is what I do as a business, sell businesses, and so we are in a world where you don't just switch off. Like you don't go to work 9 o'clock and come 5 o'clock and switch off. That's it. I just focus on this now. No worries at all. Always there is. Even though you don't do it, maybe you have a nice business and you finish at 5 and go home. You may have that, and you may be fortunate like that. But even that, you always back in your mind is the bills, payrolls, some staff issues, some competition. Always there is some thoughts going through. So you never actually 100% get free of that business working hours. So I think the most business owners spend a lot of time in the business, and if you're a business owner, you spend maybe more time in business than with your family or on your hobbies, etc. So it's a very important aspect of your life. It's part of your life. You become you if you run it for 30-40 years. So all your young age went through the business, and so it can be an emotional process, which is totally understandable. And that's why what we do is just talk to business owners to understand what's important for them and what is not that so important. Interestingly, sometimes money can be the second importance. So it may not be the first priority just to sell the business for the top dollar and retire. It may not be the first priority. First priority may be to carrying on the legacy, just having the right person and making sure the right person buys the business, not failing and operating in a similar level. They will feel proud of it. Of course, the money is at the end of the day, it's a commercial industry, commercial market. People make commercial decisions. So that's one part. So it's a start from beginning to explain the situations, how the business sales will work, what the process will like, and how long the sale will potentially take. So generally, in New Zealand, we find businesses are selling within 4 to 6 months' time. In saying that, this is probably the most businesses sells within that time, from the listing date all the way to the settlement. But some, it takes over a year, 2 years. My quickest sale was, we listed the business, 2 days later, 6 offers. So it sold within just over a month after settlement. So it was quick sale. But before that, we had 2 years of conversation about to prepare the business for sale. So it was a long process before the listing date. But as soon as we went to market, it became very popular business. We received multiple offers, great outcome. Vendor was so happy. Purchaser was happy because beat the competition, was able to buy the business by making his offer a better offer than others. And my longest sale took about 14 months. But 14 months later, we received multi-offers on it. So it's just sometimes maybe not the right person in the market waiting for the opportunity. It's all about timing and being the right business in the right time. like everything else, I guess, like if you are in the right place in the right time, then it happens. So yeah, that's the process.
Sounds like probably similar in finances. Managing expectations important. So I don't really take on new financial advisory clients at the moment, but the ones before were just you would almost scare them out of buying, just so that they're aware of what they're buying into. So it sounds like part of what you do is manage the expectation on how long it could actually take, because it's one thing for you to convince someone to buy, it's another thing for them to see it through. For us, it's like it's detrimental. Like the average investment period's at least 7 years, and if they leave off like too soon, and then the markets could go down for 3 to 4 years, and it'll be down 20%, 40%, and as long as they stay on the boat, they're fine. So that's what I mean. We make our money, I guess, in terms of the long-term relationship with people, and people will look at the transactional component and try and oversell that, but don't manage the expectation correctly. And what's happening now, the markets are down, and if we didn't do that, then you'd have a lot more people jumping ship. So, okay, so what makes a business, like, what gets you excited about how sellable a business is? Like, what do you guys look at to think, wow, okay, this is just going to go the right place, right time sort of thing? What do you look at a business?
Well, it's a nice, handsome bottom line in the accounts will make it really attractive. So that the higher the number on the bottom line is better for the outcome of the business, because it's at the end of the day, people are buying business to make money. So the business, if we just simplifies what business is a money making machine. So, and then other parts is industries, it fulfilled what the person or group of people are looking for. So the bottom line is very important. Nice and lean accounts. When you see a nice and tidy lean accounts and done properly, good bottom line, positive cash flow, consistent positive cash flow for at least 3-4 years will make a business a very attractive business in any market. Yeah, so there shouldn't be I don't think there is any good market or bad market for a business like that. Yeah.
And is there like industries that just like go straight hot off the press, or is it just so much variation? Like, do you see, more people might buy donuts than they buy, salads? Like, is there businesses that are just like in an industry, or they have a mode, or they have characteristics where it's not reliant on the entrepreneur, but the staff actually have a good process and system? Do you see things like that, like principles of good businesses?
Yes, definitely. That's another important part as well. So the money is one part, systems and procedures. If how much the owner is involved in the business or not. If the owner it's got good staff in the business, it's under management, good skilled manager or managers running the business, then it becomes you are working on the business rather than in the business. Then it becomes attractive because it's more like an investment opportunity rather than a job type of business. You buy it and you have to work in there.
Is the bottom line better on those sort of business?
Yeah, if it is fully managed business, then bottom line is important for any business.
Yeah.
If it's a fully managed business, then it tends to have a higher higher value expectations because of, like, I think the one thing is, if you put it in a perspective, if a purchaser needs to work in the business, then the purchaser hours are also a cost for the business. So if you are not, if a new buyer doesn't need to work in the business, then there is no extra cost involved because he doesn't have to work. The business already have this managers, and whatever the cash at the bottom line is the cash from the company without needing the owner to work in the business. So it makes it attractive. I think it attracts more investors as well rather than owner operator business buyers. So then the business will have wider range of buyers, then that means higher competition, and it will be probably more attractive in the market, and you get a better value as well.
So, all right, then let's say, they've got a good bottom line, it's a well-run business. Now they're trying to determine who's a good sales broker. Do you notice attributes of business brokers? I don't know, I call them sales brokers. But
So-
who's the best and who's not?
Needs to come from Turkey first.
Step one. Fractured English.
Probably I'm the only one, so that's why I'm saying that. So it will make it easy to identify me to hire. Okay, so I think a disciplined broker with a wide range of network, so good relationships and a big network, and honest and trustworthy, doing a professional work, because we are in the professional services industry, so we are getting paid to provide professional service. So I always think that is not, we have to be professional, because that's what we do. That's our why we get paid. So if we are professional and follow the proper process and presentable and having a wide network, I think that's all required from a business broker. That's the main, I think the basic requirements should be for a good business broker.
Do you have like KPIs? Like, I've got to do 100 calls by this, or have 5 meetings by this. Because you said you got some, lack of a better word, big, hairy, audacious goals. I don't know if you've ever heard of BHAG. It's from the Rockefeller book. How do you keep yourself accountable? Like, do you have a system, a process? Do you get complacent? Do you not wake up at 4 a.m. every day? Like, what's your system for high achievement?
My system, I have a business plan that outlines the calls, marketing plans, what I need to do. And also I like meeting with people to increase my network. I'm a member of a few networking clubs like BNI, and member of business, they changed the name, Greater Istamaki Business Association. So I just catch up with people within the industry, so that helps me to help the clients to introduce their businesses to wider community. So the more the exposure is for the business, of course this exposure is confidentially. That's one of the areas the business owners are quite concerned about before putting the business on the market. But we advertise everything confidential. I guess we can get that stage later on. But I just wanted to mention it, because when we say sometimes we market the business owner says, "Oh, I'm not gonna market it." And then if this guy knows, if that knows, it's not good for my business. So what we do is we put an ad up without naming the business. I call it no-name advertising. So we make it hard to identify. We don't tell the name. We don't tell the specifics. Put on the market just with the basics. Then step by step, we introduce the business after having the confidentiality agreements, all these legal processes. Then say this is the business on the market, and if there is interest, then we take it to the next steps. So that's how the process works. Because confidentiality is a big part of what we do. Yeah. It's an important part as well. So I have a business plan, and I try to follow it like everyone else. It's not easy to follow. I wouldn't say I'm a very disciplined person, like a soldier. Wake up at 5 every day, and every now and then I get lazy as well. So there is that, and some target for the year. So every year I reproduce my business plan. I say, okay, I'm gonna do this, and I put very high goals. I never achieve.
Oh, good. How close do you get? Like, as a percentage? 60% there?
Yeah, I think 6, maybe 50. No, not even 50, maybe 40.
And how 40. Does that target compare to like your other people competing with you? Like, is that 40% better than them, or like is your goal like almost unrealistic because no one's ever done it, or are you using someone as a measure? I'm going to beat this motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's nobody has done it. It's just up in somewhere, they're quite up in the air and somewhere. But I put it there because if I program my mind for that, even though I achieve half of it, I'm super happy. So, but that's the target. So I put that targets, and this gives me something to work on, some map to. It's like a Google map when I put my address in it, and I know which path I am gonna take. So that helps me to move forward. Yeah. So that's.
Do you backwards engineer it? Do you say, okay, last year, let's say I did whatever, let's say a number 100 million, and I don't know what that means, because it's an easy number. 100 million of business sales, and this is how many calls I made, and this is my closing rate each time I make these calls and I meet these types of people. When you increase your goal, is that how you engineer it? Like you have like an understanding of your numbers, or how do you justify the increase? You just randomly, I'm going to do a whole lot more, but do the exact same thing. You know what I mean?
It's a formulated Excel spreadsheet. It was provided by the company, and I made some tweaks and changes.
Yeah, the nerd in you.
Adjusted to myself, and so yeah, it's you put the numbers, it calculates it, the percentages, what you need to do, how many sales you need to make, and it's very simple. Just an Excel spreadsheet. Every year I need to change the numbers on that and put different numbers to find, oh, okay, if I do this, then it's because it's calculated itself.
Yeah.
And I see, okay, this is what it is. And I try to put it somewhere I can see as a reminder. I have to admit that it's not, I'm not really doing a lot of work on that plan. I just make it simple, maybe spend half an hour each year. And then it's there. I know it's there. I've done my responsibility, and I put it somewhere. I can see it. It's good to see it every now and then. You feel unmotivated or not feeling to do much. Then you look at it. Okay, this is what I need to go. So you stand up again, and then push yourself towards.
It's interesting because motivation is a common thing people talk about struggling with, and I don't actually think it's a thing that exists. I think it's a result of good habits. I don't think you suddenly wake up, I'm super motivated, though you do have a certain level of like, oh, this is exciting, oh, I'm going to do this thing, it's getting closer, and you start getting momentum. What does motivation mean to you? Like, is it consistent habits done every day? Because then if you fall off, because some people might have your big goals and they start shaming themselves for not quite getting close enough. And then that's disheartening. Do you have like a system for keeping motivated, or just having the goal keeps you motivated?
I think I don't focus on motivation. I used to. I focus on if there is a job to be done, it has to be done. So it's just, I don't think motivation anymore because I can't really wait for my mood to be right to get the job done, because my mood can be all over the place at sometimes. So what I started doing it for the last, I guess, the couple of years. I started focusing on, okay, there is a job to be done here. Despite of my mood, motivation, this has to be done. It's just my mission. This is my mission. Like, if you're hungry, you gotta eat. It's just, has to be done. If I don't do it, I'll die. Like, it's just my path. So that's how I look at it. Is if there is a job to be done, it's done. Motivation. If I am motivated, which is a plus reward, because when I am doing it, I'm happy. If I am not motivated, I'm still doing it, but not in a good mood.
Yeah.
So that's the only difference for me. But what I do for motivation, I guess, to motivate myself to enjoy more out of what I do, is if I feel nervous about something, or I'm scared of something, within the sensible thinking, not like I'm scared of the cliff and then jump out of it and die. So within the sensible mindset, if I am scared of something, for example, coming to this podcast, it's like quite an uncomfortable way of to something uncomfortable things to do for me, because I haven't done it before. But I felt, okay, I'm nervous about this, which means I should do it. I must do it. Because when I do this, or when I do something I'm scared to do, when I do it, I feel better about myself. I feel more motivated, more confident. I say, okay, something I was scared of doing it, and I've just done it. Just it motivates me. It just feels good. It's just something I achieved. It's like a little achievements because I'm scared of little things, and then I do it despite of my mood, and I feel motivated about it. So I think that's how I find motivation to overcome the challenges by doing overcoming the challenges.
Well, it makes sense. Like Kobe Bryant talked about this, where he would make an agreement with himself, and once it's done, job, paper signed, this is how many shots I'm going to do every week. And you kind of almost have to earn the right to believe that you will achieve your agreement. And it's interesting that you're using action as a teacher for your motivation. So you're finding things that are hard or challenging, and that further reinforces your capability and belief in yourself. We've done an hour, so you've done well. So what would be either someone that you would want to inspire or add value to, or a business owner that's scared about selling their business, like a leaving remark, and then also like how do they find you?
Okay, I'm quite active online and offline. So I use social media as a tool of marketing. It works both ways. It works for me to find clients, and works for me to find buyers for the clients. So it works both ways, and I quite enjoy implementing modern technologies to what I do, because you need to always keep up with the time and the world and the technology, I guess, because people are moving towards that. There's more opportunities. So I think anybody can just email me or just call me or message me from social media. I'll always answer any inquiries is made. So for this just deciding to sell a business, if it's first time, it can be quite scary and create nervousness in the environment. So what we do to give that confidence, like for example, one of my sale, I worked with this very private client. It's in a regional town, not in Auckland, and they were very private. They were quite nervous about. They wanted to sell the business, but were very nervous about. It was a husband and wife team. Nervous about going to market because regional town. If somebody knows, if one person knows in the town, everybody will know what's going on, and they feared of losing customers, affecting the business. So the main fear is a sale process to damage the business operation while still they have it, and also it's bad for the whoever buys it. So that what we did is basically I had a few meetings with this client, and I explained the process, how confidential we do it. So we prepared everything, and then we go to market without a name, without anything, identity, even the location. We put a different location, because if we put that location with that sort of business, will be not too difficult to identify. And nobody knew, and any inquiries came to us. We introduced the business. Before introducing the business, we had some background check of the purchases, potential purchases, and every inquiry went through the vendor's approval process. So they had a look at the background, so they knew who was asking the information for the business. Okay, that person is fine, and I signed the confidentiality agreement. Then we start releasing the details of the business, and it worked beautifully. So they didn't found out their business was for sale, and then we eventually sold the business, and it was a smooth transaction.
Yeah. That's where trust comes from, huh?
Yeah.
That's a good point. I didn't know that. I just learned something. I've seen the numbers. 500,000 for this thing. I always just thought it was like a picture of it in videos, but secretly that's a different killer fish. But thank you for doing your first ever podcast. I think you did well.
Thank you. I hope so.
We'll let the listeners decide.
Sweet, man. Which cameras in there? I'll do the
here's what, everywhere. Yeah, it's in your car.
My car.
That's why I try to get you not to
carry
lock
on when I'm driving.
Yeah, we got to learn what you're doing to reach these targets.
Sure.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Thanks
Very
mate.
much, Ryan. I
It's all right.
appreciate the podcast.